My name is Emily, and I turned 30 this year. I always imagined my 30th birthday would feel grown-up and special. Maybe not a huge party, but at least something warm and meaningful. A cake, a hug, a "we're proud of you," or maybe just a few small gifts from my parents. Nothing big, just love. I have always been the quiet one in the family. The one who did things the right way. Good grades, polite behavior, stable job. My younger sister Mia was the opposite. Loud, charming, dramatic, emotional, and always the center of attention. If she walked into a room, everyone turned to her. If I walked in, people barely noticed. But I didn't complain. She was my sister, and I loved her. Still, deep down, I always hoped my parents would see me, really see me for once. 1 week before my birthday, my mom called me. "Emily, come home next Saturday," she said. "We're planning something." My heart did a little jump. Something? For me? For my 30th birthday? I smiled the whole week. At work, I counted the days. At home, I imagined what they might do. Maybe a beautiful cake? Maybe a surprise dinner? Perhaps a handmade card from Mom like when I was little? For the first time in many years, I felt excited. When the day finally came, I wore my favorite pink sweater and light makeup. I bought a small bouquet for Mom and a box of chocolates for Dad. I even wrapped a tiny present for Mia because I always liked giving gifts, even on my own birthday. I reached my parents' house around 6 p.m. The lights were on, the curtains open, the living room decorated with balloons. But something felt strange. The banner above the table didn't say, "Happy 30th birthday, Emily." It said, "Congratulations, Mia." My smile faded slowly. I looked around. Gifts everywhere. Pink and gold boxes. Ribbons. Flowers. Even a glittery handmade card. All of it for her. My mom came out of the kitchen with a big smile. "Oh, good, Emily, you're here. Come inside." I swallowed. What's all this?" Before she answered, Mia ran into the room, jumping with excitement. "Look what Mom and Dad got me," she squealed, holding a brand new tablet. The exact one I had been saving money to buy for myself. I felt something inside me twist, sharp and small. Dad walked in behind her. "Well, our girl deserves it," he said proudly. "Our girl.
Not me."
Never me." Mom finally looked at me and said, almost casually, "We decided to celebrate Mia today. She had a big achievement." "What achievement?" I asked softly. "She got a part-time job at the mall," Mom said, smiling proudly. A part-time job. Something she had done 5 times before and quit each time. "And my birthday?" I whispered. Mom blinked as if she had forgotten.
"Oh, yes.
"Happy birthday, Emily." Just words. Quick.
Cold.
Empty. No cake. No card. No gift. Not even a hug. My throat tightened, but I smiled because that's what I had learned to do. Hide the hurt so no one gets uncomfortable. Then the final blow came. Dad pointed at the pile of wrapped presents on the table. "Oh, and Emily," he said, "your gifts are there too, but we gave them all to Mia. She needed them more." My heart stopped. "My gifts?" I whispered. Mom nodded, almost annoyed.
"Yes."
"The clothes, the perfume, the watch we chose, they suit her better. You don't mind, right?
You're older now.
You should understand these things." Older. Responsible. Invisible. Mia wasn't even sorry. She just hugged her new gifts and smiled like it was normal. Like it was okay. Like I didn't matter. I stood there, in the middle of my own birthday, surrounded by decorations for someone else, realizing that even at 30, my parents still didn't see me. And maybe they never would. I stood in the living room, frozen, trying to understand what was happening. My birthday, the day I thought would finally feel special, had turned into a celebration for someone else. Again. Mia hugged Dad and held her new tablet close to her chest. "It's perfect," she said. "Thank you so much." Mom laughed proudly. "You deserve it, sweetheart."
Deserve.
That word stung. I stepped closer to the table and saw a small blue box with my name on it. A box I knew Mom had wrapped because I recognized her handwriting. It was supposed to be mine. I had waited all week thinking about what it might be. Now Mia opened it without hesitation.
Oh,
A perfume set, she squealed. This is so nice. My breath caught. I felt embarrassed even standing there. It was like watching pieces of my worth being handed away. Dad turned to me suddenly. Emily, don't look so upset. You're 30 now. You don't need gifts. Let your sister enjoy. Let your sister enjoy. As if my happiness was a problem. As if my birthday needed an explanation.
Mom nodded, not even looking at me.
Yes, you're too old for these things. And Mia doesn't have much right now. Be supportive. Be supportive. Be understanding. Be quiet. Always quiet. I forced a smile, because that's what they expected. I'm okay, I said softly. But I wasn't. I really wasn't. We all went to sit at the dining table. A big cake was in the center. Pink frosting, hearts, and a message written in bright letters. Congratulations, Mia. Not even a small happy birthday Emily in the corner. Nothing for me. Mom cut a big slice for Mia, then for Dad, then for herself. She didn't give me any. After a moment of silence, I whispered, "Can I have a piece?" Mom looked surprised, as if she forgot I existed.
Oh, yes.
Sure. She cut a tiny slice, so small it looked like a joke, and placed it in front of me. Mia laughed. That's all you need, Emily. You're always watching your diet, right? I wasn't. But I didn't argue. Dad suddenly clapped his hands. Everyone, Mia has something to say. Mia stood proudly. I just want to thank Mom and Dad for supporting me always. I don't know what I'd do without you. I'm so lucky. Her eyes shone with pride. Mine filled with tears. But I swallowed them down. After they were done eating, I helped Mom clean the table. I washed the dishes quietly while Mia and Dad took pictures with her gifts. They didn't include me in a single one. As I scrubbed a plate, Mom stood beside me and said in a low, sharp voice, "Emily, don't start drama tonight. This day is important for your sister." I turned slowly. My birthday wasn't important. I whispered. She sighed in an annoyed way. Don't be childish. Mia needs attention right now. You're older. Act like it. Older. Responsible. Invisible. I put the plate down and wiped my hands. Something heavy pressed against my chest, like a truth I had been avoiding for years. They didn't forget my birthday. They didn't accidentally ignore me. They chose not to celebrate me. Again. Mia came over and wrapped her arms around Mom. Mom, can you help me set up my new tablet? Mom's face lit up. Of course. They walked away together, laughing, leaving me standing alone. I looked at the empty table, the decorations, the gifts, my gifts, that weren't mine anymore. And suddenly, a quiet thought entered my mind. Maybe this wasn't my home anymore. Maybe I didn't belong here. Maybe I never did. I took a deep breath, grabbed my bag, and headed toward the door. No one noticed. Not even when I walked out. Not even when the door closed behind me. The night air felt cold when I stepped outside. Not winter cold, just the kind of cold you feel when your heart is heavy. Streetlights glowed softly along the road, and in the distance, I could still hear laughter from inside the house. Their laughter, not mine. I walked slowly toward the bus stop, hugging my jacket tightly around myself. I didn't cry. Maybe because the hurt was too deep for tears. Maybe because I was used to it. Maybe because a part of me expected this, expected nothing. When I reached the small bench near the bus stop, I sat down. The street was quiet, only a few cars passing by. The bus wouldn't arrive for another 20 minutes. I took a deep breath and looked at the sky.
Cloudy. Dark.
Empty. Just like how I felt inside. I checked my phone out of habit. No missed calls. No messages. Not even a happy birthday from Mom or Dad. No apology. No follow-up. As if I had never been there. As if I didn't matter. I whispered to myself, "Happy 30th birthday, Emily." My voice cracked a little. It sounded lonely. While I waited, a memory from childhood suddenly came back to me. I was 10. Mia was 5. It was my birthday then, too. I remembered blowing candles, but everyone was cheering for Mia because she was so cute. Mom gave her the bigger slice of cake. Dad gave her my new toy because she wanted it. I thought things would change when I grew up, but they didn't. Nothing changed. The bus finally arrived. I got on and sat near the window. The city lights blurred slightly as the bus moved, and for a second, I thought maybe I was crying after all. But I wiped my eyes quickly and looked away. When I reached my apartment, the place felt extra quiet. No balloons. No decorations. No cake. Just silence. I slipped off my shoes and sat on the floor, leaning against the couch. I didn't turn on the lights. I didn't need to. My thoughts were loud enough. Why did they do this? Why was Mia always more important? Was I really so easy to forget? After a few minutes, my phone buzzed. My heart jumped, hoping maybe, just maybe, it was Mom. But it wasn't. It was my best friend, Harper. Happy 30th, Em. Hope you had the best day ever. Call me when you're free, Red Heart. I stared at the message for a long moment. A sad smile touched my face. She didn't know. She thought I was celebrating. She thought I was happy. I typed back slowly. Thanks, Harper. I'll call you tomorrow. I didn't have the strength to explain anything yet. I went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and sat at the small dining table. A tiny cupcake sat there, something I bought for myself yesterday because I thought I wouldn't need it. I thought my family would take care of everything. But the cupcake was the only birthday treat I had. I lit a small match and stuck it into the cupcake like a fake candle. The flame flickered softly. I closed my eyes. Make a wish, I whispered to myself. But I didn't wish for something big. I didn't wish for money, or love, or success. I wished for something simple. I wish I could feel seen. Just once. After blowing the flame out, I took a tiny bite. It tasted sweet. But the sweetness couldn't cover the ache. I went to bed early, but sleep didn't come easily. My parents' voices kept replaying in my mind. You're older now. You don't need gifts. She deserves it. You should understand. Understand what? That they cared more about Mia? That I should always be quiet? That my feelings didn't matter? Around midnight, I turned onto my back and stared at the ceiling. My whole life, I had done everything right. Everything they wanted. Everything they expected. But on my 30th birthday, I finally realized something painful. Doing everything right didn't mean they would love me. Not the way I wished. Not the way I needed. That night, somewhere between hurt and exhaustion, I made a silent promise to myself. Things had to change. I couldn't keep living like this. Not anymore. The next morning, sunlight entered my room softly, but I didn't feel warm. I felt tired, heavy, almost empty. I got out of bed slowly and walked to the kitchen. I made tea, but I didn't drink it. I just held the warm cup between my hands, trying to calm the ache in my chest. My phone buzzed again. It was Harper. Morning. Did you celebrate with your family? How was it? Smiling face with smiling eyes. I stared at the message. I didn't know what to say. Should I lie? Should I pretend everything was perfect? I typed slowly. Not really. I'll tell you later. She replied instantly. Come over. I'm making pancakes. I didn't want to cry in front of her, but I also didn't want to be alone. So I changed clothes, tied my hair into a ponytail, and walked to her apartment 2 blocks away. When I knocked, Harper opened the door with the brightest smile. 30 looks good on you, she said, pulling me into a warm hug. Her hug almost made me break. We sat at the table while she placed pancakes and berries in front of me. So, she said playfully, tell me everything. How was your birthday night? Her smile faded when she saw my face. Emily, what happened? I inhaled deeply. Then slowly, quietly, I told her everything. How the house was decorated for Mia. How my gifts were handed to her. How the cake didn't have my name. How Mom told me to act older. How they didn't even notice when I walked out. Harper listened without interrupting. But I could see the shock growing on her face, the anger building in her eyes. When I finished, she looked at me like she was trying to understand how any parent could behave like that. Emily, she said softly, this is not okay. I know. I whispered. But they've always treated me like this. I guess I'm used to it. She shook her head firmly.
No.
Don't say that. This isn't normal. This isn't love. This is unfair, and it hurts because you deserve so much better. Her words made my throat tighten. Nobody had ever said that to me before. She placed her hand over mine. You spent your whole life trying to make them proud.
But what about you?
What makes you happy? I had no answer. I didn't even know what made me happy anymore. For years, my choices were shaped by their expectations. Be quiet, be responsible, be patient, be invisible. I didn't know who I was outside of their rules. Harper looked thoughtful. You know what I think, she said finally. You need space. You need distance. You need time to find yourself without their voices in your head. I looked down at my hands. But they're my parents. Being parents doesn't mean they're allowed to hurt you, she replied gently. Family is supposed to make you feel safe.
Seen.
Loved. Not invisible. Her words were simple, but they hit deep. After breakfast, Harper gave me a small gift, a notebook with a soft blue cover. For your new chapter, she said. Write about things you want to do, places you want to see, dreams you never said out loud. I held the notebook close. That evening, when I returned home, I opened the first page and wrote, things I want for myself. Then I paused. I had never made a list like this. I had never allowed myself to think freely. Slowly, I wrote the first 3 lines. I want to feel respected. I want to be surrounded by people who see me. I want to stop begging for love from those who don't give it. Writing those words felt like breathing after holding my breath for years. I sat back and stared at the page. Something inside me shifted, something small but powerful. Maybe my birthday wasn't a blessing, but maybe it woke me up. Maybe it showed me the truth I had been avoiding. That night, I made another promise to myself. This year, I will choose me, even if my family never does. The next week passed quietly, but something inside me felt different. Lighter, stronger, more awake. I still went to work, still did my usual tasks, still smiled at people in the hallway. But every night, I wrote in my blue notebook, the one Harper gave me. I filled page after page with thoughts I never said out loud. Things I wanted. Things I needed. Things I was afraid to admit. For the first time in my life, I was listening to myself. By Wednesday, I finally wrote something important. I need distance from my family. My hands shook a little as I wrote it. It felt wrong and right at the same time. Wrong because society teaches us that we must stay close to family no matter what. Right because distance was the only thing that didn't hurt. The next morning, I received a message from Mom. Come for dinner on Sunday. Mia wants to show you her new things. A sharp pain hit my chest. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't ask about my birthday. She didn't apologize. She didn't even pretend to care. Just
Mia.
Always Mia. I put my phone face down on the table. I didn't reply. At lunch break, I met Harper at a small cafe near work. She knew from my face that something was wrong. Message from your mom? She asked gently. I nodded. Do you want to go? My throat tightened.
No.
But I feel guilty if I don't. Harper leaned in slightly. Emily, guilt is not love. Your feelings matter too. I knew she was right. But years of conditioning don't disappear in a week. That Sunday evening, my phone buzzed again. We're waiting. Don't be late, Mom wrote. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed. I can't come today. I need time. My fingers trembled as I hit send. 2 minutes later, my phone rang.
Mom.
I hesitated, then answered. Her voice was sharp, annoyed. What do you mean you need time? I'm not feeling good, I said honestly. Last weekend hurt me. Hurt you? She sounded shocked, almost offended. Because we celebrated Mia? And because you forgot my birthday, I whispered. Mom sighed loudly.
Oh, Emily.
Don't be dramatic. You're too old for childish expectations. Childish expectations. Wanting a simple happy birthday was childish? I swallowed the lump in my throat. I'm not being dramatic. I just need space. There was a long silence. Then Mom said the words that cut deeper than anything before.
Fine.
If you want space, stay away. We don't have time for emotional problems. The call ended before I could respond. I stared at my phone in disbelief. My own mother, who raised me, who taught me to be kind, who said family comes first, just told me to stay away. My chest tightened, but I didn't cry. I stood up, walked to the window, and looked outside at the evening sky. For the first time, instead of sadness, I felt something else. Freedom. It was painful, yes, but it was also freeing. I opened my notebook and wrote, I deserve people who love me without conditions. The next day, I tried to focus on work, but around 4 p.m., my phone vibrated again. This time it was Mia. I hesitated before reading her message. Mom says you're mad. You can't be upset about the birthday thing forever. Just get over it. Just get over it. Those 4 words hit me like cold water. For years, I kept forgiving, kept forgetting, kept shrinking myself to make them comfortable. Not anymore. I calmly typed back, I'm not mad. I'm just done being invisible. Then I turned off my phone. Later that night, Harper came over with pizza and 2 cold sodas. You okay? She asked, settling beside me on the couch. I took a deep breath. I think I'm finally learning how to live for myself. She smiled softly. That's the best birthday gift you could ever give yourself. For the first time in days. I smiled too. Maybe turning 30 wasn't the disaster I thought. Maybe it was the beginning of something new. A week passed, then 2. My phone stayed silent most days. No calls from Mom. No messages from Dad. Just a few short texts from Mia, each one colder than the last. Part of me expected the silence to hurt. But strangely, it didn't, not the way it used to. For the first time in my life, the quiet didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. I spent my evenings differently now. I took long walks. I cooked meals I actually liked. I cleaned my apartment and changed the furniture around. I played soft music in the mornings. I wrote in my notebook every night. It felt like I was slowly creating a new home inside myself, one where I was welcome, one where I mattered. One afternoon, Harper suggested something unexpected. Let's go to the bookstore, she said. I want to show you something. We walked through aisles filled with colorful covers until she picked up a small, simple book about healing and self-worth. This reminds me of you, she said. A woman finding her voice after years of being ignored. I held the book in my hands, feeling its weight. For the first time, the idea of healing didn't feel impossible. I bought it. Later that night, while reading on my couch, my phone buzzed. My chest tightened a little when I saw the name.
Dad.
The message was short. Can we talk? I stared at the words for a long time. A part of me wanted to delete the message and move on. Another part wanted to know if he truly meant it. After thinking for several minutes, I replied, Okay, call me. The phone rang immediately. Dad's voice was quieter than usual, almost unsure. Emily, your mom told me what happened. She said you needed space. I did, I replied softly. He hesitated. I didn't realize things were so bad. I'm sorry. The words felt strange coming from him. Apology was not something I heard often. He continued, We shouldn't have given your gifts to Mia. That wasn't fair. And we shouldn't have forgotten your birthday. Forgotten. At least he admitted it. I was hurt, I said honestly. It felt like I didn't matter. Dad sighed heavily. I know. And I'm not good at saying this, but you do matter. A lot. I guess we just kept treating you like the responsible one. The one who doesn't need attention. That's not love, I whispered. No, he said quietly. It's not. And I'm sorry, Emily. Truly. A tear rolled down my cheek, finally, after days of holding everything inside. I'm not asking for much, I said. Just a little respect. A little love. A little space to be myself. I understand, Dad said. Take all the time you need. And when you're ready, come home. Not for Mia. Not for us. For you. His voice sounded honest. For the first time in forever, I felt heard. After the call, I sat quietly for a while, letting the softness of the moment settle inside me. I wasn't magically healed. Things weren't perfect. My parents still had a lot to learn. But something important had changed. They finally understood they hurt me. And I finally understood I didn't deserve to live in the shadows. Over the next few days, I continued focusing on myself. I signed up for a pottery class. I met new people. I laughed more. I breathed easier. One evening, Harper and I walked near the river. The sun was setting, painting the sky pink and orange. "So," she said, bumping my shoulder gently, "how does it feel to be 30 now?" I looked at the sky, then at the water, then at her. "Honestly," I said with a smile, "it feels like I'm finally living my first real year." She smiled back. "You're glowing, you know." I laughed. "Well, I guess letting go of old pain makes room for new light." As we continued walking, I felt something warm spread inside my chest.
Hope, strength, peace.
My 30th birthday wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't special. It wasn't beautiful.
It wasn't even about me.
But maybe it showed me the truth I needed to see. And maybe that truth guided me to a better version of myself.
I didn't get gifts that day.
Not a single one. But I discovered something far more valuable. My worth. My voice. My life. And that was the best gift of all.